Most domestic sewing machines, like this Brother SE625, do a lock stitch. Some sewing machines, like Dexter here, do a chain stitch. This Singer Touch and Sew is one of the few domestic sewing machines that can do both. I'm Ollie, this is SimplyStitchy, and in today's video we're going to be looking at the difference between a lock stitch and a chain stitch, and I'll show you how I can convert this one from its default lock stitch setting to doing a decorative chain stitch. Come on, let's find out how. A lock stitch is a stitch you'll find on most domestic sewing machines, and it can either be a line and straight stitch or a zigzag stitch, and it's the same on the top and on the bottom. And in order to be able to make a lock stitch, what your sewing machine needs is it needs a top thread, which is threaded through the top of the machine and into the needle, and it also needs a bobbin thread. You'll find with a lock stitch you need to do a back tack at the start of a seam and at the end of a seam to stop those stitches unravelling. A chain stitch machine, on the other hand, doesn't have a bobbin. Now, chain stitch machines can have more than one thread, or as in Dexter's case here, they can have just the one thread. But what all chain stitch machines have is a needle and a looper underneath, or a hook. And what happens is, particularly on this one thread machine, is the thread comes down, gets caught by the hook, gets looped around itself, and that's what forms the chain. The areas where you'll normally find a chain stitch is areas where you need more strength but a lot of flexibility to a certain extent. Here, this stitch is a chain stitch, and that's where you'll probably find a chain stitch more often, is usually it's in the waistband of your jeans. This Singer Touch and Sew is a one thread chain stitch machine. If I were to start sewing with this Touch and Sew the way it's set up at the moment, I'd get the default lock stitch setting. What I've got here is a set of chain stitch attachments which will help this machine do a chain stitch. The first thing we've got is the chain stitch thread guide. We've also got the bobbin housing cover. We've got the chain stitch thread plate or needle plate. The first thing that you need to make sure is that your take-up lever is in the highest position. Next, you want to make sure that your foot is in the up position. The next thing that we want to do is we want to get rid of this needle plate, because this is for regular stitching. Now, the Touch and Sew has a handy little lever over here which you just move all the way to the left, and it unlocks this plate, so you can just take it off. If we compare the two plates together for a minute, you'll notice that the regular stitch plate, this one, has a horizontal gap which allows the needle to do a straight stitch or a zigzag stitch, and if we turn it over, it's plain on the back. The chain stitch needle plate has a vertical hole in the centre, and if we turn it over, it has this little device on the back that acts as part of the hook. Put it under these two holders, and then you just move this lever back to the right. The next thing is the bobbin housing cover. Now you need to make sure that this little box is towards the feed dogs, and this little bump is in this bottom right hand corner. You just pop it in and put that little lever down. The next thing to fit is the chain stitch seam guide, and it's pretty simple. There's nothing complicated about this. You just open the front of the machine and you see this little part of the sewing machine cover. You just slot it over the top like that, and then just close the front of the machine. To thread the machine, you thread it in exactly the same way as you would if you're doing a normal stitch. There's a video on my channel showing you how to do that. I'll put a link in the description box, and this is where it changes. You go into the chain stitch seam guide, and then it's the same again as you would normally. We've got it ready to go for chain stitch. We've got the chain stitch thread guide, we've got the needle plates, and we've got the bobbin cover. So let's see how we get on. So that is how you do a chain stitch on a Singer Touch and Sew. Now obviously it didn't go according to plan. I had quite a few attempts at trying to get a decent chain stitch. The thing that was making it impossible to get the tension right on this chain stitch wasn't the thread, it wasn't the needle, it was actually the chain stitch thread guide itself. And what was happening is, as I was stitching, I'll just lift the foot a minute, as I was stitching, the take up lever, as it was going up and down, was making the thread bounce out of this thread guide here. Make sure that you wrap the thread in through the hole at the top and over. There's like a little hook underneath that the thread needs to catch into as well, and that little lever underneath will stop the take up lever pulling the thread back out and making it so that you can't get the right tension on the machine. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope it's helped you figure out how you can do chain stitch on your own touch and sew. Just be aware of that pesky little thread guide. Why not check out some of the other videos that I've got on the channel using the links coming up on the screen any minute now, or the ones I'll put in the description box below for you. And why not subscribe and click that little notification bell so that YouTube can let you know when I've uploaded another video. Whatever video you go and check out next, I hope to see you back here for the next one. And in the meantime, whatever you're sewing it with, embrace your creativity and have fun. Thank you ever so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.